என்னது சார் என்னது மறுபடியும் ஒரே நிமிஷம் ரெடி 10 மணிக்கு ஆகிட்டீங்க
Mic check, check, check.
ஹலோ சார், அதான் செக் பண்ணுறேன் ஒன்று. ஆனால் உங்களுக்கு ஸ்பீக்கர் வந்து வால்யூம் கம்மியாக இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்குது. ஆமாம், கேட்பாங்க, ஏற்ற சொல்லுவாங்க உங்களை. ஹலோ, மைக் டெஸ்டிங். ஹலோ, ஓகே. இந்த மைக் ஓகே. அந்த மைக் ஆன் பண்ணு. காலையில் மாட்டேன்.
Check. Hello. Check. Check. Hello.
ஹலோ 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 மைக் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணுமா? வால்யூம் மட்டும் கொஞ்சம் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணணுன்றான் சார். நாய்ஸ் வரல, கரெக்டாக இருக்குங்களா?
Hello. Hello. Check. Check. Hello. Check.
ஹலோ
டெஸ்ட் டெஸ்ட். ஹலோ செக். கேக்குதா?
ஹலோ ஹலோ ஒர்க் ஆகுது, ஒர்க் ஆகுது.
Hello. Check. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Hello. Check.
All the PGDM students are requested to kindly be seated in Lake Michigan. Only PGPM here.
Hello. Hello. Check. Hello. Check.
டெஸ்ட் டெஸ்ட்.
Check. Check. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Well. Check. Check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, check. Check, check.
If there are any PGDM students here, kindly move to Lake Michigan. PGDM students, kindly move to Lake Michigan. Guys, quickly settle down. Students or guests are arriving. Kindly settle down. The guests have arrived. Just remain settled, that'll be fine. Good morning, dear friends. A very warm welcome to all the dignitaries, faculty, and students present here. First up, let me thank all of you for being a part of this special session today. I am Neha Panhalkar, your MC for the event. Let us now start the event on a good note with the invocation song.
वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं गुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं गुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. You may all now be seated. Thank you.
I now request Uncle Bala, Vedi sir, and Lakshmi sir to light the auspicious lamp. I also request Uncle Bala and Vedi sir to honor the chief guest with the Ponadai. With this, I request Uncle Bala to give us the inaugural address.
A fantastic organization, Technopreneurship, which actually at one time was probably ranked number 5 or something like that, and they just got, but they were really now at the top, number 1 or number 2, depending upon how do you measure it. And as you know, measurements is subjective. Anyway, we have double honor today because for the first time we are launching a US AACSB accredited modern state-of-the-art, even in US, what is called as a MBA in technopreneurship. Why this MBA in technopreneurship? It's very, very clear that the old MBA, as usual, is not good enough for the world that is changing dramatically, drastically, and probably for a different revolution. These days, if you are not thorough with Internet of Things, disruptive technologies, disruptive business models, artificial intelligence, expert system, blockchain, cloud computing, you name a lot, you are out of business. If you want to be distinct, you got to be really distinct. If you are not distinct, you are extinct. So the traditional MBA, unless it is modified, revised to the changing world, and this changing world is beyond belief, even businesses like Uber will become obsolete. The world, as many people talk, is VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous. Now it is PUCA, Platform for Unmanned Cargo Aircraft. Imagine a cargo aircraft exclusively for cargo, leaving, let us say, New York or someplace like that, to Shanghai and reaching there in 20 hours, exclusively loaded with only cargo, without even a single human being, including a pilot or a flight officer or flight attendants. And therefore, there is no need for the particular cargo aircraft to have pressurized cabin so that people can breathe. And that savings is about 17%. And you reach the customer on less than 1 day compared to 25 days normal shipping. And if you look at the cost of this capital locked in for these 25 days or whatnot, the cost of air cargo shipment might become cheaper and faster and efficient than any other mode of transportation. If in Dubai, Abu Dhabi in between, the world's biggest airport has been already built, and that too exclusively for the cargo aircraft and not for human passengers, that means those people know exactly what is going on. So if this is the world we are going to see in the next 3 years, where even you can get a degree from MIT from staying in Manamai and not setting your foot in US, from MIT, not Madras Institute of Technology, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And if that is possible, how it is possible? And they are giving it. Now what happens to people like Kellogg, Wharton, Harvard, whatnot? So the whole industry, whether it is any space, whether it is transportation, whether it is heart monitoring, whether it is leasing an aircraft engine by GE, not based on time, months, but based on the actual amount of hours that engine is working. These are all unbelievable disruptive business models, disruptive business technologies. And the world is going to be probably ruled by people of the age 19 to 25. And you are in that age. It is your turn. And therefore, if you keep on teaching the same old stuff, discounted cash flows, time value of money, marketing, sales, OB, supply chain, the supply chain itself is going to be damn radically different. And if you are not aware of that, so our intention is to create a combination of disciplines, like the design thinking. The best design school in the world right now is between number 1 and number 2 in Illinois Institute of Technology. The engineering school, the business school, and the Great Lakes Institute of Management. All the 4 schools combined together come up with a unique curriculum, and that is this MBA in technopreneurship. Definitely understanding a technopreneur or an entrepreneur is a different person. Yes, we teach what is called as an agency theory, because we think the owner and the manager are too different and their value systems and incentives are not aligned. So generally people say the principal or the owner is a risk neutral, willing to take something, whereas the agent or the CEO may be risk averse, effort averse, and therefore you have to incentivize. People have created all kinds of theory in finance called agency theory, exploiting this kind of information. But as though the world is full of people of that type. Now what happens if the owner and the CEO are identical? The owner has the same interest and the CEO also has the same interest. So if all these objectives are aligned completely, then are we going to teach the same stuff to these people also? So therefore, we have now created a new program called Technopreneurship, where technology enables the entrepreneur to even go faster, quicker, and cheaper than any other thing, taking advantage of the changes that are making and happening in the world. That is the idea behind this Technopreneurship program, and I am very proud to have this program has been launched this year, and this is going to be a trend setter in my opinion. And who is the person who can do that very well? Not only he has created companies, but Lakshmi Narayanan himself is an entrepreneur. He's one of the top persons in the Chennai Angels. He has done so much philanthropically, helped Indian Institute of Technology at Chennai to come up with some really great ideas, and he promotes wealth creation and job creation rather than wealth consumption and job consumption. And he is probably the best person. As a matter of fact, along with him, I have also brought another distinguished adjunct faculty in our school who is going to talk about this thing by name V. Chandrasekhar, who also worked with him in TCS at Switzerland when he was there. And please raise up Chandra. So he'll be also teaching with us and also trying to keep the curriculum in shape so that cutting edge knowledge and theory can be feasible. And also he will be teaching for you as an elective course on the newer waves of things. He was the head of the L&T Infotech in Chennai, and prior to that, L&T Infotech at Bombay as a second in command with Vijay Magapu, who was the CEO, and also with several other things. He himself has a big startup operation kind of guy. So we are going to come up with a newer thinking so that we will have the cutting edge of the latest thinking in our curriculum so that our students not only get a job, which is probably sort of guaranteed like in so far, at least this year, I don't see anything else other than that. However, I do not want to prejudge that. However, how do you sustain that job after you get in there? So that is one of the reasons we have this second innings. Starting today, we are also starting that second innings. So that is one of the reasons I took the advantage of inaugurating this particular Technopreneurship program today and invited all of you from the PGPM, PGDM class. And I am so glad that Vaidya Jayaraman was so thoughtful in making sure that this particular lecture can be simultaneously screened, and people who are sitting in the two adjacent halls can also listen to his lecture. So on behalf of the entire Great Lakes Institute of Management, I would definitely welcome all of you to this inauguration of this modern, state-of-the-art program, and also put your hands together in giving a very, very warm welcome to the one and only Lakshmi, our friend.
Our eminent guest speaker today, Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, is a technology industry professional with over 40 years of industry experience, with the last several years in leadership and governance roles. Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan earned his physics honors and masters in electronics from Bangalore University and subsequently earned a diploma in management from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He has been recognized as the IT Person of the Year, Entrepreneur of the Year, and has currently chaired the NASSCOM. He currently serves as the chairman at the ICT Academy, director of board of trustees at the Chennai Mathematical Institute, Thiagarajikar School of Management, Chennai International Center, to list a few. Mr. Lakshmi is also the founder director of the United Way of Chennai, a charitable global organization. He is also the head of steering committee at the NASSCOM Startup Warehouse. In addition to the above roles, he is an independent director at the Sri Ram Capital, the Roof and Floor, with the Hindu Group and TVS Capital Funds. In the last few years, he has been devoting a large part of his time in the area of education, entrepreneurship development, and philanthropy. He is passionate about encouraging young minds to seek a larger purpose in life and encourages them to realize their potential through higher education and entrepreneurship. Without further ado, let me invite Lakshmi sir to address us.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. First of all, congratulations to Professor Bala, the faculty of Great Lakes Institute, for taking the initiative to start this Technopreneurship program. Something that is very interesting. I believe it's very timely. entrepreneurship is something that we are all familiar with. But entrepreneurship without technology today, many would say, is not true entrepreneurship. Technology is getting integrated into so many different aspects of human life, some of which we'll try and explore in the next 15, 20 minutes, that understanding and applying technology to entrepreneurship, both in terms of the products and services entrepreneurship creates, as well as in directly applying technology for entrepreneurship, is a very, very interesting area. I'll start by recalling a talk that I gave here about 3 or 4 years back. I think it was 4 years back, where I talked about technology convergence and some academic work that had been in that field, where a professor from the University for Polytechnic in Switzerland, Zurich, Dr. Frederick Acklin from ETH, had postulated that the greatest amount of entrepreneurship, new ideas, disruption will emerge at the intersection, or what he called the convergence of industries. And these types of disruptions will create new consolidated, converged industries that will be the fountainhead of all new innovation that is likely to happen. So to briefly summarize, the theory of the case was technology is clearly very, very critical in all areas of business. How does the technology convergence happen, technology integration with business? He theorized that there are 4 stages. First, there is a knowledge convergence, followed by a technical technology or a device convergence. And the third one is the business model convergence. And the last convergence is the industry convergence. And talks about, you can refer to all of this in his papers. He took the example of the technology industry itself and said how from the initial days of electrical engineering, IEEE publications, communications emerged as a special interest group, ACM or computers emerged as a separate interest group, and how people from various academic institutions focusing on electrical engineering, electronics, computers, communication converged and shared their knowledge in order to create what we now know as ICT. That is the first step of knowledge convergence that happened, which is reflected in all the electronic manufacturing, all the chips, everything that goes with the ICT area. Following that, the application of that in different technology domains. A simple way of looking at it would be to see how devices converged. Somebody thought of putting a camera in a phone. Somebody thought of putting a gyroscope into a phone. As a result, all these devices started changing, and you are getting newer and newer ideas, newer and newer types of things that are happening. The most recent one that I think at least it's been doing the rounds in WhatsApp in the last 1 week is about the ECG machine that BARC has come up with, where the cell phone, somebody can attach a few electrodes, get the ECG, which can be transmitted anywhere in the world to any specialist. So that's the device convergence, or what he referred to as the technology convergence. And the third one is the business model convergence. All this is great. You discover new ideas, new technologies, new devices. You figure out a way of combining them together, apply them in different industries. But does it lead to any economic activity? Does it lead to any benefit to the citizens? Does it make money? That's where the business model comes. And we have seen several new business models that emerge. Starting from the iTunes, where you can buy music, commercializing an iPod, a new device, a new technology, to so many other examples. The much talked about Uber, Airbnb. No lecture is complete without mentioning those 2 words these days. So that's the business model convergence, where there are newer ways of doing business, entrepreneurial ideas coming about it, and then that leads to ultimately industry convergence. And that's clearly something that has happened in the area of what is known as time, media, entertainment, telecommunications, and information technology. That is one industry group. No longer are people separating it out and offering courses or doing research separately. It's a combined, converged industry. And this professor also predicted at that point in time, applying the same theory, there is going to be another converged industry where there will be a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurial activity. That is the convergence of biotechnology, nanotechnology, information technology. IT is something that has to be an integral part of everything, and cognitive science. BNIC was the prediction that he made, and it's beginning to come true now. Things have started happening in the biotechnology area and the nanotechnology area that are really astounding at this point in time. Genomics. And just to give you one example of where this convergence is leading, in the medical field, no longer are the insurance companies in the US willing to pay for interventions or investigations like endoscopy, colonoscopy, where it's an intrusive way of detecting if you have certain type of ailments in your gastrointestinal system. For those of you who are not familiar, these are areas where you insert a tube into the gullet, take a picture, find out if there is an ulcer in the stomach, etc., etc. So the insurance companies are now saying we will not pay for those type of investigations because there is a newer technology that's available. There is a capsule that you swallow that contains a camera that records everything as it passes through the system. And then as it passes through the system, the whole thing is recorded, and we are able to get a complete 360 of what is inside your gut. That's it. Period. Very easy. You don't have to go through a difficult procedure. And this is combining technology, device-based, biotech, pictures, and a whole lot of things. And from here, from the pictures, from the images, they're able to completely diagnose what are the various ailments. So much so, companies like GE, Siemens, and Philips, which are famous for all these medical devices, have coined a phrase saying that imaging is the future of medicine. Very, very profound, far-reaching statement that they're making in terms of diagnosis. See, images, whether it's a CAT scan, CT scan, MRI, these type of devices, they will tell you everything that is needed to be known by a medical professional to do whatever intervention that is required. Stage one. And this stage, this technology is going to be combined with nanotechnology in terms of delivering medicine very precisely, and genetics, genomics, where you can precisely define the type of dosage that should be given to an individual. All of them combined in one single intervention. Okay? And the work is progressing in these type of areas. So these are some examples of where opportunities lie. Has it led to anything? Has it led to creation of new companies? Maybe in the Western world, yes. But has it led to anything here in India? Several. The answer is absolutely yes. Some of you may be familiar with NCBS, National Council for Biological Sciences in Bangalore. Another Department of Atomic Energy initiated initiative funded by them. They carry out all the research work and incubation work in the area of biotechnology and nanotechnology. And several researchers and PhDs are working. And it's patent today. That's the rate at which they are discovering newer methods, newer basic sciences, etc. And in fact, one of the most startup awards that was announced by Economic Times, there's a company called Bug-B, promoted by Dr. Anand Kumar. Anand Kumar is the brother of Dr. Raj Kumar, who's a famous gastroenterologist here in Chennai. That company was recognized as one of the best startups in the area of biological sciences. And there are several others that are there. Those of you who get an opportunity to visit NCBS, you'll be able to see in that incubation center at any point in time, there are at least about 30 companies that are incubated in the area of medical sciences, like we have incubation centers all over the place. So the point that I'm trying to make is, in terms of opportunities, where to look for them, not only are examples available in the industry, but there are theoretical approaches also available for you to look at any specific area if you're so interested. Looking at that convergence model, industry convergence model, which can be applied to multiple industries. If you study them deeply, you will be able to identify opportunities for you to look at more in depth and come up with entrepreneurial opportunities. And I'll give you a few examples of enterprises that have succeeded, startups that have succeeded, some that have failed, some that are pivoting, etc. Thought Vaidhi felt that that will be useful to some of you here in terms of what's happening in the industry. By virtue of being associated with the Indus entrepreneurs that promotes entrepreneurship, the Chennai Angels and some of the other things that were mentioned, I do come across a number of companies, number of startups, a number of entrepreneurs. Technology entrepreneurship is not limited only to startups. There is far more entrepreneurial activity, incubation activity that's taking place in big firms. Firms like Procter & Gamble or General Electric, GE has created one of the best platforms, technology platforms, software platform that's considered better than what has been designed, developed by any of the other software companies, platform companies. So there is opportunity for innovation, entrepreneurship in the large context in multinational corporations also. That goes without saying. For those companies to remain in the top 50 globally, top 100 globally, they have to be innovative. They have to be entrepreneurial. The culture has to be entrepreneurial. I'll talk less about that, but talk a little more about the startups, because that's the flavor of the month now. I'll take one example, something that is very, very interesting example. A company called Heterogeneous. Heterogeneous is a company. Some of you are nodding. How many of you are familiar with that company? No. Okay. This is an interesting company. Started about 6 or 8 months back. Very, very focused on the telecom sector. Telecom companies have to install these towers on which antenna are mounted. And now these telecom towers have become shared resources where antenna of multiple telecom companies are housed. And they have to be provided 100% trouble-free, high-quality power for them to operate. There can be no power failure at all. So they run with batteries, generators, all types of monitors to check everything, etc. And periodically, they have to be monitored also, whether the antenna's direction has changed. Somebody has to go and inspect. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to see people climbing up the towers, adjusting the antenna, etc. Risky job. That's something that one has to do. There isn't any other alternative. Of course, in the US, there is a company that Cognizant invested in. It's a services company, very interesting, just a slight digression. A company that, in the US, the drones industry, that's regulated, flying drones, how far they can fly, how long can they fly, who can fly them, etc. They have come up with regulation. We are yet to even think about it, but they have that regulation, where they have defined that they have to be certified pilots to fly these drones. So a lot of these retired Air Force pilots and Army professionals are getting themselves certified to fly these drones. And these drones are used for inspecting the towers. They have a similar problem. All over the world, they have these type of towers for telecom facilities. And in fact, in some areas, like city of New York, where there are multiple buildings, each of the buildings could be a cell or multiple cells. You will find a tower in the 30th floor, another tower in the 90th floor, etc., etc. And they have to be inspected and it's be very difficult for human beings to go there and check it. Most of the time, there won't be anything wrong with them, but all the same, they have to be periodically inspected. There they use the drones because the laws are available. The drones will go there, take a picture, and then from that you can find out whether some interruption is needed or investigation is needed, etc., etc. Whereas here in India, we are still struggling with the power problem. The generators have to work, the generators fail, the batteries have to work, and the batteries fail, something else has to happen, etc., etc. How do you find out? How do you figure out? You know, the only way you can do that is by keeping 1 or 2 people 24/7 in the tower base. They always have a room, an air-conditioned room where the temperature has to be maintained, where the generator is there, the batteries are there, it's powered appropriately, etc. So this company, Heterogeneous, came up with an idea saying, I'll install devices, IoT, I'll collect data, just put sensors for temperature, pressure, electricity, humidity, whatever that is required, in addition to the voltage, the amperage, the quality of the battery, etc., etc. And I'll give you a signal or I'll give you a message if there is a potential failure that is expected based on the data that I collect, so that people can come and intervene. That's a simple device, a box they collected. And it will also say when should the batteries, all these, base stations have a number of batteries. Battery companies are making a lot of money. That's another big opportunity. You know, if you look at the Amar Raja shares, it is going higher and higher. Why? Because they negotiated a fantastic deal with the telecom companies, the tower companies. They said, I'll just replace the batteries at the end of every year, no matter what the condition is, at a certain price. Boom. You know, it's a huge, another business opportunity that came out of that. But these people, what they're trying to do is to get a sense of all this data, put it into a control center, monitor it, and manage it in a much more efficient manner. That is the idea. They started with the pilot, did it for about 10 towers, very successful. Now they've got orders for about 4,000 towers. There are totally something like 40,000 towers that they have to calibrate, that they have to put these IoT sensors in, and the number of towers will only increase. Unless there is a huge disruption, low orbit satellites come in and take away these towers, but that's some time away. So until then, this company has a fantastic opportunity. Not only is this an opportunity, they're saying that where else can I apply this? They're familiar with the telecom area, that's something that they're doing. Fantastic, where else can they do it? One thing that comes immediately to mind is if there are resources or infrastructure that is shared by multiple companies, multiple individuals, that may be an area of opportunity. So now they're saying, can I put these type of devices in ATMs? ATMs are shared devices between banks. Usage is something that is different. Why should one company pay for the ATM while the other banks or customers of other banks may enjoy it, etc., etc. So, you know, there's a thought process that is kicking in order to expand the scope and the width of this industry. So what started as a simple startup idea could potentially lead to, you know, multiple ideas, perhaps multiple companies, and so on. Early stages still. I'll give you another example, something that may be very, very, it's very interesting. A small and simple example. A startup that almost got killed thanks to regulation. This is a company called Harivara. Harivara is a company that is started by a group of about 3 or 4 people. Essentially, they said, what is the problem? Problem is, there are a lot of Indians who want to perform rituals on auspicious days, perform rituals when they move into a new house, perform rituals on a particular day of the month, etc., etc. So they run after priests. They run out of all the material or the condiments that are required for that particular puja or ritual. And invariably, they either don't get the right priest, or the priest doesn't come on time, or the material that is used is not of the type and quality that they desire, etc., etc. So they said there is a consumer who is paying so much attention to these rituals. How can we make that consumer's experience really memorable? So they said, we'll apply technology. sign up all these priests, launch it on a website so that people like us, website or mobile app, so that anyone who wants to perform a ritual, let's say want to perform a Graha Pravesam in Hyderabad, can log in and say on this particular date I want a priest. So he signs up, he says, okay, what is the special thing that you want to do? They give some details, they pay up the money, 5,000, 10,000. There are classification also. You want the deluxe one that is to be performed, or you want the standard one to be performed, or you want a budget ritual to be performed. We have different gods for different categories and different priests, and we'll send the appropriate people, and they collect the money, and then they send the priest. The priest will go with everything that is required, fantastic, all the details, performs the puja, no collection, no money, nothing, delivers a fantastic experience and comes back. Very, very successful. You know, it's started about 6 or 8 months back, started in the city of Chennai. Good, they got to something like 2 or 3 lakhs rupees a month, moved to Bangalore, boom, it took off. You know, anything that you start in Bangalore takes off exponentially. And hit about 10 lakhs. Now they've started going to other cities, Hyderabad, and there's a demand from a lot of non-resident Indians. When they want to come here, they come to Chennai or Bangalore for a period of 2-3 weeks, during which they want to perform 2 or 3 rituals. Boom, it's all scheduled, done. People want to go to Kashi and Varanasi. I'll sign up priests there, going on very well, collecting the money, centralized collection. Consumer pays one time, fixed amount, and then everything is taken care of by the firm. And then came GST. Said GST, this is a technology service, you're running a platform, so we have to pay GST on whatever is the total money that you get. If you sign up for 10,000 from your consumer, you have to charge 18% the customer. That's, as people said, but there is a provision that says services provided by priests, temple services, religious material are all tax exempt. No tax on any of those things, absolutely none. Why is it that you're charging GST on this particular model? They said that's the way the law is written, period. You can't do anything about it. So the whole model has to change. You cannot say, okay, my margin is only 10% or 15% or 20% of that. Instead of taking 10,000 from the consumer initially, customer, I'll take only 2,000. I don't mind paying service tax on that 2,000 because that's a value that I'm creating. I don't mind paying the GST. The remaining money, 8,000 rupees, let's say 5,000 goes to the priest, that's tax-free. Let the customer pay directly to the priest. 3,000 rupees of material, that's tax-free. Let the priest buy that material, take it with him, and so on. But then that's not going to deliver a unique experience to the customer. What stops the priest from shortchanging the customer? There is no control. What stops the customer contacting the priest directly and cutting out Harivara? So what is it that they can do in order to change this? They have to change the business model. They have to figure out a way of changing the model, which is the task that they're struggling with. And changing this business model is not entirely in their hands. They have to consult a couple of lawyers, they have to consult accountants, figure out what is the way they can structure the business, how can the contract be written so that the implication of GST is minimal on them, and simultaneously work with the powers that be in order to get exemption for this type of industry also. You cannot leave it. If there is some way, somebody can influence someone in the finance ministry to say that, all the basic, there is no input credit that this person can claim. Absolutely no input credit on GST. Just paying only the GST, that doesn't appear fair, and give people or change the model in order to remain successful. So these are some of the challenges. People who, in fact, this entrepreneur is very, very interesting. Initial stages, when the person wanted money in order to start this business, he had put in his money. So he was reading up. He's a technical person. He's an engineer. Comes from the Vedic background, so he understands the business. He was looking at valuations, cash flow, balance sheet, things that he was not familiar with at all. He was struggling with it. So if I want to take money, how should I approach? What should the valuation be? What is this angel investing, etc.? And somebody came and told him, you know, your business doesn't require too much capital. Why are you diluting it? Take some money from somebody. Start your business. Don't worry about valuation. Don't start reading all these finance books. If you want to learn that, there is a time and place for it. But if you want that expertise to run the business, partner with somebody. Maybe go to Great Lakes and hire somebody and take him as a partner. He'll provide you the business and the finance input. And together, you can do this business. But you know, yours is a bootstrap model. It's a great cash flow model. Why do you want to dilute? Why do you want to talk about equity at this particular stage? It's that type of advice that is needed by many of the entrepreneurs. Okay. They read something in the paper, they look at valuations, they look at this venture capitalists, immediately jump into conclusions saying that equity, percentages, returns, etc., which in many cases may not be necessary. So who can help those type of pure technical people? People who understand business, people like you. Which is a model that IIT is trying to do. That will probably be the last example that I'll talk about. As an institution, one of the best things that happened in the city of Chennai is the IIT Madras Research Park. Okay. A unique institution, first of its kind in India, where the institution said that I want to set up a research park and provide incubation facilities to all the entrepreneurs, technical people, whether they are from inside IIT or outside. I want a dynamic environment where people collaborate, exchange ideas, and create new companies, new products, new services, so that society benefits. A number of companies have emerged from there. And then internally, they were going through this struggle. Technology people, Department of Metallurgy will come up with a fantastic idea, but managing, putting the business model, applying and registering a company, onerous task. So the Department of Management Studies, DOMS as it is called in IIT, they said, you know, we have enough people here in this department. We can second them, the professors are there, they're familiar with the laws of the land, they'll collaborate with the research park occupants and get these enterprises going. And that's a good model that is working. And there is also an opportunity for people from outside to participate. Just as people from outside with ideas are coming and setting up companies inside the research park, management professional from outside can also do that. And this is not the only thing. Based on this model, other institutions have also started doing similar things. You know, one good example that I'm familiar with, that I was associated with, is the Chennai Mathematical Institute. Okay. It's a high-end mathematics, computer science institute. Fantastic work that they do. I mean, the last, this is an Abel laureate, you know, equivalent of Nobel Prize in mathematics, Srinivas Vardhan, who's in the faculty, who's in the New York University, he comes and teaches here. So it creates some fantastic students. One of the students from that institute participated in a group to get Fields Medal for Manjul Bhargav, who's a well-known mathematician in Princeton. They have fantastic capability, and they were not able to commercialize it. And they were creating these mathematics students, BScs and MScs and PhDs, who were just grabbed by the industry. People like TCS, they want to create algorithms to better run their businesses. So Chennai Mathematical Institute created an entity called Algo Labs, a laboratory where you supply the data, we will do research on that data and provide you insights and hopefully give you algorithms. If you find it useful, you pay for it. That's taken off well. You know, this is the second year, and the work that they're doing will probably clock about 1 crore of revenue this year, which is shared by the students, the professors in the institution, and the money goes back to the institution so that they can continue to invest in research. So research institutions and academic institutions are also beginning to look at entrepreneurial opportunities for themselves as well as for developing those students, okay, which is another emerging business model. So to conclude, what I would say is technology is an integral part of entrepreneurship. Never lose sight of it. There are plenty of business model revolutions that are taking place. Every other opportunity is an opportunity for changing the business model wherever you are. for every successful entrepreneurial activity, you need a diverse set of skills, technology skills, business skills, industry experience, experience of failure, etc., etc. And the time couldn't be better than now. The time just couldn't be better than now for starting any entrepreneurial activity inside a corporation or outside. You know, not just in areas of commercial progress, but also in areas of fundamental research. I'll just conclude by saying, all of you must have read about the Team Indus story. In a group of individuals have come together who want to participate in the Google X contest. Google X came to land a mission on Moon, to have the rover ambulate on the lunar surface, send high quality pictures, and compete for a $20 million prize. Huge. You know, what gives them the energy? What gives them the motivation? Group of people say that, you know, if Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos can create their own rockets and land or have space travel as a dream, as a goal, why cannot I also have that kind of a goal? I hope they succeed. It's their goal, and they have a plan to execute and get to that goal. I'm sure all of you also have a goal. A goal without a plan, without some meat behind it, without a plan, is just a wish. So if you have a goal, plan to accomplish it, plan to achieve it, there's enough support, and you'll all be successful. Thank you very much. Oh, maybe a couple of questions. I still have about 5 minutes. Yeah, no, I'll have it.
We have the floor open for questions. So we have Rakesh with the question here.
Sir, to your right.
Yep.
Sir, Rakesh here. Good morning, sir. Sir, there are so many events coming up for technopreneurs, like to give your idea, and so that you will be given the best prize and so on, right, for the best idea. And I've been seeing so many events like that, and these ideas are being obtained from the students and they're being implemented by the industries. So how do you see it? Is it ethical to use up the students' ideas and invest it in the industries as such? Because the students might have the idea, and if they go on with the entrepreneurship of it, so they might succeed at last. So in that case, how do you see that?
Yeah. See, the question is, somebody has the idea, someone else is utilizing the idea, a third person is commercializing the idea. So, welcome to the new world. That's the new normal. You know, there is free movement of everything. What is globalization? Movement of capital, movement of goods. There's free movement of goods. There are no restrictions. Free movement of people to a large extent, although there are some restrictions, but there is a relatively free movement of. And the biggest thing that has happened thanks to internet is the free movement of ideas. Idea generated from anywhere can be transmitted to any other part of the world instantly. Have you heard of, whenever you go for presentations, you want to talk about an idea, in the earlier days, 5 years back, maybe even 10 years back, people would say, please sign a non-disclosure agreement, NDA. Today, nobody asks for an NDA. Even if it is asked, nobody will sign it. If you think you have an idea, you must believe and understand that that idea has occurred to 100 other people anywhere and everywhere in the world. And maybe there are 50 of those people working on that idea and commercializing, etc. So to remain closeted with your idea, thinking this is my idea, no one else knows and no one else has got that idea, is to really be harsh, I will say stupid. Somebody is commercializing it, putting it to use, fantastic, it's great in the world. There's no morally, there's nothing incorrect about it.
Hello, sir. My name is Elizabeth. So I have a question. So tech startups are certainly a key in which we can really empower rural India, as well as provide a lot of propulsion to social initiatives. But unfortunately, in India, there aren't that many startups that are focused on the social and rural India, simply because they're not able to find a sustainable business model financially as well to help them along. So what is your advice to aspiring social entrepreneurs and how they can overcome these challenges?
Yeah, good point. Social or you mentioned agriculture, farming. One is, yes, that space can take a lot more new enterprises, but there's a lot of entrepreneurial activity that's happening already. I can think of at least a dozen companies that are helping the farmers. I'll give you just two examples. M3 is a company, M3 or ME3 is a company promoted by Aisha, which is providing infrastructure services like tractors, plowing equipment, seeding, harvesting on a pay-per-use model. Like you have a software as a service or a platform as a service, you have a tractor as a service. You just engage that. Very successful model in North India. In the south, in Chennai, there's a company called I Support Farming, ISF. You may want to visit that site. Their mission is, what they're saying is, the country is producing a lot of food grains, 286 million tons. From 180 million tons to 286, tremendous growth, enough for the country, enough to export also. But the farmer's income has not increased by that much at all. Puts right expertise, right pesticides, right seeds, right fertilizers, and I share the produce or the profits from the produce with the farmer. I'll find the best procurement, best price and do it. They started doing it. They already have about 500 acres that has come under cultivation, and they do 2 cycles instead of 1. Where it's possible, they encourage the farmer to do 3 cycles instead of 2, mix and match crops, etc. And this model again came under scrutiny. So you're collecting money, pooling from individuals. This is a scam. This is like a chit fund. How can you operate like that? So then again, they had to go through the loop like they are even. Now they have figured out a way of managing that. Initially, during that period, that they needed the money that they couldn't collect from individuals like you. They borrowed money, put in the business, and now the model is clear. Okay? So that cycle has started, and literally thousands of people can participate in that. That's one for-profit social enterprise that's happening in the field of agriculture. So there are several. You just have to be in the right forum to see where that activity is happening. Will Grow is a good place. Will Grow is a to promote social entrepreneurship. They have a number of ideas in this. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for those insightful words. Do we have any other questions?
One last question. Yeah.
One last question.
Please.
And even the Indian youth and the market we have, the youth we have. So even now we are mostly creating students and creating employees as more of job-oriented mindset. Like we are not having entrepreneurs mindset. We are not having people who are creating, like who are having that mindset to create something new. Still having such a big youth population, we still have people more job-oriented thinking. Like even if I talk about people who are sitting here, they might be thinking like after doing this program, we'll be getting to good jobs, but very less people are still thinking about creating new ideas. So where are we lacking in our education system or in our system that we are not creating such mindsets?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not about the education system or anything like that. We produce some of the best people. Our educational system is, you cannot complain about that at all. But it's the mindset of the people, mindset of the elders, etc. We'll have to grow out of that over a period of time. If you look at our history, that's the way it has been. Still in many places, getting a job in the government is the first priority. Okay, you're working in a private sector, no, that's not a great thing. Get a government job, steady, things like that. So we'll have to go through, we have to create successful enterprises in order for that to happen. As far as education is concerned, that's a very valid point. Everybody demands a degree, I'll give you one example. This is something that I'm very passionate about. Again, in the field of information technology, we have this informatics Olympics that happens. Every year, an Olympiad is conducted in programming languages in 13 different categories: Java, C++, R, Python, cybersecurity, cryptography, etc., etc. You know, tremendous number of, and the candidates and students from all over the world. This is set course. The curriculum hasn't changed. You're interested in robotics, join an evening class. You're interested in programming, join some other class and learn on your own. It is on your initiative. And that kind of a cohesive group learning is not taken. That opportunity is available only to people who are in cities, urban locations. What about people in the rural areas? Absolutely no chance. So that's something that has to change, and things are beginning to change. There are things that are beginning to change. One company is this K7. K7 is an antivirus software company. They've turned around and doing very well. And they find that they require these individual crack code programmers, not engineering graduates who have learned programming. So they've set up an academy. They go to schools, identify those students who are good in coding and programming, who have the aptitude for it, take them as an employee, give them that stipend so that they can continue their education if they want to, or come to the academy and learn and participate in this, which is exactly what is happening elsewhere in the world. You know, any other company, if you look at companies like Symantec, etc., they don't look for college degrees. And we can create those type of models also. You know, one famous example is that girl, Malavika Joshi in Pune, who was taken out of school by her parents, 8th grade, did homeschooling. She tried various things. She liked programming. She participated in the Informatics Olympics. She won a silver medal. You know, didn't have 10th class degree, didn't complete 12th. Tried to join IIT, no 12th pass, so no seat. She was coached by Chennai Mathematical Institute, incidentally. Professor Madhav Mukund and his team coached her in order to get that one. They offered her, so we don't care about the degree, you come and do MSc with us directly and you can enroll for the PhD program. But MIT, Boston said, you know, I'll give you everything, just come and join. She went there and joined, she's doing very well there. So it's a question of creating those type of examples and talking about it so that a K7 can create an academy for students, school children, and companies like us can also create and do something in order to change the mindset of people that degree is not the only criteria. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir, for those insightful words. I will request Uncle Bala and Vaidhi, sir, to honor Lakshmi, sir, with a memento, please. I now invite Vaidhi, sir, to give us the concluding remarks.
Respected Chief Guest, Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, Dean Bala Balachandran, our esteemed faculty, our amazing staff people on campus, our participants in the MBA Techno program, and my beloved students. Today is indeed a momentous occasion that is perhaps a culmination of more than 18 months of planning that started with Dr. Bala's initial meeting with the former dean at Stewart School of Business with this idea to offer a cutting-edge program in collaboration with Great Lakes. This MBA program in technopreneurship, the first ever program of its kind in India, teaches you to innovate, teaches you to look at new ideas, and then take them to the market. So welcome to this very exciting world of VUCA, a world of technopreneurship, perhaps a term used to describe the fast-growing field of technological entrepreneurship, giving people perhaps an opportunity to create and grow startups, and perhaps an opportunity in terms of entrepreneurial initiatives in a high-tech space, an opportunity perhaps to build the next Google or Facebook, or to make a significant impact on society, such as the Khan Academy, all to harness the incredible advances in technology to change this world. I first want to thank our chief guest, who despite his hectic schedule was kind enough to accept our invitation. Call this a strange coincidence. Perhaps call this superstition. Just a little more than 3 years ago, when we launched our very first program in business analytics, what we call as BABY, on this campus, Mr. Lakshmi was the chief guest of this program. Look at where this program has progressed. So in that sense, we want to continue the amazing progress we have made in the field of analytics, and we believe that this area of technopreneurship is going to be a game changer. It's going to change the game by which companies are going to operate. And at Great Lakes, because we always believe in doing things in a very different manner, doing things with a pretty much a focus on creating a wave, the community, we believe that this is going to be the next big thing going forward. There are a number of people I also want to thank. One of the very first people that once we had this program in place, when we started putting this batch together, I do want to thank Team Admissions, which led by Professor Ishwar and Professor Sriram, and also Mr. Balaji and Mrs. Mohanapriya, who actually worked tirelessly. Folks, this was not just about trying to find a decent batch of people. This is about them trying to even explain this amazing concept called as technopreneurship to potential participants and trying to encourage them to sign up. So the team actually pulled this off, and we have an amazing batch of participants with such a diverse background that are going to be part of this journey going forward. Once we had that in place, and once we had the schedule in place, one of the first people reached out to is Professor Casey John, who's, I'm lucky he's right here. Here's Professor Casey John, who spent more than 30 years of his life breathing, eating, and sleeping in the area of technopreneurship, has played a big role in startup companies, has played a big role in not just founding, but also advising companies. So he actually was the very first professor to walk in the classroom on Thursday morning and initiated this program. So no better person than Professor Casey John to start the program. Thank you, sir, for accepting the invitation. I also want to thank the administration led by Mr. Shankaran over here and his team, who, once the program was in place, ensured that everything worked like magic over here. I also want to thank my support person, Narmada, who has worked tirelessly the last 6 weeks, making sure that the students are going to be joining the program and in terms of logistics. Thank you, and pretty much I wish the participants the very best as they embark on this journey, and hope this pioneer batch is going to reap the huge benefits, and our hope is to put Great Lakes on a very different pedestal going forward. Take care. Thank you.
Let us now raise for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे शुभ नामे जागे, तब शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तब जय गाथा। जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you, Lakshmi sir. Thank you, Uncle Bala and Vedi sir. Thank you all the faculty and students for being present here. Kindly be seated. People who've missed your biometric, kindly just come in and mark your attendance, please.